guys, it's Candy, and I've got another quick video here about stamping basics. So we've talked about a couple different things for making cards, and another thing that you want to consider when you're making card is what adhesives or what you're going to use to glue your cards together if you're doing more than one layer. So there are so many products out there, and I do not confess to be an expert. I have a ton of them. I've tried some are new to me, and I'll talk about some of those. But I'm going to tell you what some of my favorites are and why, and what I use when I'm scrapbooking. I often use my ATG gun because you have a lot of glue here, and you just plop it down, push the button and pull, and slap it on the back of your papers, and it's pretty quick. So when you're scrapbooking, this is probably my favorite just because it's there, you got a ton, you don't have to worry about going out, and I always make sure I get the photo safe type of tape, and so that's what I like to use when I'm scrapbooking. But for card making, by far my most favorite is the Tombow glue. I use this when I'm gluing layers, so like if I have a card like this, I would glue, let's see if I can get this to focus a little bit better. So when I've got a card like this, I decorate it, then I would take that top piece, put glue on the back, and slap it on top of my card, and then it has a layer on the inside too for a sentiment. So these I would generally glue. The reason I like glue better is sometimes after a while, tape will, or tape runner, sometimes it'll fall apart, and depending on how humid or how hot the area that you live in also determines whether it peels off. I have not had anything come apart using the glue. Now, some of the drawbacks with the glue is sometimes you can see lines. If you have really thin paper, it can make your paper warp or give you a little bit, you can see where you've glued. But for the most part, I like the Tombow multi-glue the best for my card making. If I'm doing really tiny intricate pieces, I often use this quick glue stick. It's like a little pen, and you just, see if I can get that to focus a little bit better. Come on, focus. There you go. So it's got like a little ball point, and it works pretty good, and sometimes it takes a minute to kind of get it moving, so I usually just kind of rub it on my finger. I don't know if you can kind of see that. I got a little glue there. But it comes out bluish, and then it dries clear. I don't know, it's not really showing up very well, but I use this for intricate parts a lot. So another type of glue I use are the glue dots. Like, so if I'm putting a bow down, I would stick the bow on top of that, or a small embellishment. I may use this, you can kind of see that. So a lot of times I'll use the glue dots for small embellishments. If I'm doing paper crafting, like making a box or something that's going to take a little wear and tear, I often use this red tape, and it's double-sided, so you put it down on whatever, you rub it, and then you can pull the red right off, and it's a two-way tape. There's quite a few brands that do this. I generally just get mine from Stampin' Up! Because I usually have quite a big order. Dimensionals, there's all different kinds of dimensional tapes that you can do to do pop-ups. And I'm trying to see if I have anything real close. I'll try to find an example of what that looks like with it popped up. But I often use this for embellishments to pop things up or do multiple layers. And like I say, I'll look for a card here in a minute that has that. But I like the Stampin' Up! Dots because they're thin. The Walmart brand or some of the craft stores have a little bit. Let me see if I can find one. It's quite a bit thicker, and sometimes I like the thicker ones. Just depends on what I'm doing, but by far I use the Stampin' Up! Dimensionals the most. So for popping things off your paper, that's what I like to use. When I'm doing big paper bag albums, often I use the Fabric Tech. And I know there's quite a few gals out here on YouTube that like this. This is really good for keeping the paper from warping when you're gluing a big project down. Often use this for that. Another thing that you can use as an adhesive is your crystal effects or your glossy accents. I haven't used this too often just because I just learned about this little tip of using this to glue like your metal pieces together. So I have done it once or twice, but still that's pretty new. Another new item for me is the score tape. I've heard lots of people who like to use the score tape and this brand, and it's a double-sided tape, very similar to the red tape, but it tears way easy. So like you can just, let's see if I can find, you just pull it and rip it and it's ready to go. So that is nice and quick. So it's a little bit easier to use than like the red tape. So this is new. I'll let you know how I like and how well it works as we go. Another new product that I just started using that I saw someone here on YouTube use is the foam tape. And there are a ton of different brands. I don't know if one's better than the other. I just picked this one up. It's Elmer's. And so far it seems to work pretty well. But like I say, this is a newer product for me. So those are the types of glues and adhesives I use. Again, these are probably my go-to the most if I'm scrapbook or if I'm card making. But this I definitely use more than anything else. That tends to be my go-to just because it goes a long way. It's a good value for your money. And let me show you just a couple cards here that I can show you why you would need glue if you're doing layers. And these are in plastic, so I apologize for the glare if there is any. So as you can see, this is kind of popped up, and that's where you would use those glue dots underneath. I glued down the yellow piece of paper to a white cardstock. That's one card. Here's another one that I did. This is all glued down, so the different layers. And a lot of times I'll put a glue dot under my knot so it doesn't wiggle. And I just glued the ribbon right down with the rest of the paper for that one. And this is another one. Pop dotted the little lady on top. Glued this down. I generally do not put a layer of glue down for my ribbon. Sometimes I will use a runner if it's super wiggly or, you know, I want it to hold down tight. This is just glued. And let's see if I can find another one. So like this one is another one. Glued all the papers. Now this is tin foil, and underneath that one I probably use the red tape, because that tends not to hold as well as like paper would. So I would have used probably the red under the aluminum foil. But glue this onto that, and then again probably the red tape to hold this black piece down on top of it, because it's got the embossing, and I didn't want those to fall off. So let's see if I can find something else here. And you can use other things for layering. So this is paper, and then this right here is just a piece of packing paper. So those are the kinds of things that you would do in card making to use to glue down if it's more than one layered card. Hopefully this is helpful for you. Leave a comment or any questions that you have below, and I appreciate your time. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.